Welcome to News Laundry Chhota Hafta. For the full episode, subscribe because it is behind the paywall and only subscribers get access to uncut, complete content. News Laundry Hafta is our weekly wrap of all that made the news, all that didn't, and all that should have and all that shouldn't have. We agree, we disagree, we critique, and occasionally we beat each other up. But it's all good fun. Subscribe.
This is a News Laundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to another episode of News Laundry Hafta from a very noisy week when it comes to what made the news, and we have a very wide canvas of what dominated prime time and what dominated headlines, and it was actually very dissimilar. For example, last night, and we are recording this on the 28th of July, Thursday at 3 in the afternoon. Last night, and I don't know, maybe night before last, prime time was only full of Nanga. What is Nanga? But print had none of that on the front page.
Nanga Ranveer.
And then we had, protests in parliament and all sorts of other exciting
we
stuff.
We had it on Delhi Times front page, of course.
Delhi Times is different. But so we will get to the headlines a little later. But first, let me say hello to our panel. In the studio with me, Raman Kirpal. Hi, sir.
Hi.
And Manisha Pande.
Hello.
Joining us on the phone line is Mehraj D Lone from Kashmir. Hi, Mehraj.
Hello.
Hopefully, we'll see you back in office next week.
Yes.
So, because the feel of recording Hafta, everyone here is really nice, which we had actually. Mehraj wasn't there for that Hafta, was he?
I was when all of us were in the studio.
Yeah, Anand as well after a long time.
Yeah.
And also joining us on the phone line from Gurgaon, which is it over water or underwater these days, Nishant?
There's not much rain. So
okay.
It's as of now, it's above water. But yeah, it only takes 15 minutes for it to go underwater.
There's some pitter-patter in Delhi today.
There's pitter-patter happening right now. But I remember in Gurgaon a few years ago, I think this is about 4 years ago, all these names like Richmond and Beverly something or the other, they were like the whole lift thing was underwater. I remember those photographs that had come. But Nishant Bansal is a senior research manager for IDC, that is International Data Corporation, Asia Pacific Telecom Research. He is responsible for a deep dive research and insights on unified communications, collaboration, and back office systems. In his role, he works with regional telecom teams to produce intelligence reports and market insights, and also contributes to various consulting projects for leading regional telecom. And he also writes, his expertise predominantly for Communications Today and other industry journals, which are, key. They're very focused and expertise on one particular industry. In his case, telecom. So welcome, Nishant.
Thank you so much.
We will soon tell our audience what insights we're going to get from Nishant. But first, let's get the headlines from Manisha.
Yes. India's largest ever 5G auction on Wednesday received bids worth 1.49 trillion rupees on day 2, as aggressive bidding across band by players like Reliance Jio, Bharti Airtel pushed the sale over to the third day. The 4 participants included Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Jio, Sunil Bharti Mittal's Airtel, Vodafone Idea, and a new entrant, GautamAdani. The Supreme Court on Wednesday upheld the ED's power to arrest and seize properties under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, as it dismissed several petitions challenging the provision of the law. Some 200 petitions were clubbed together. This included one by Karthi Chidambaram.
And this is worrying for all because this gives ED such huge powers, which we shall discuss in a little detail after this.
ED has initiated 17,000 investigations, over 17,000 investigations under FEMA between 2016-17 and 21-22. This is an increase of 183% from the first term of NDA. The ED on Wednesday filed charge sheet in a special court against Aam Aadmi Party leader Satyendra Jain and others in connection with money laundering case. There's been pandemonium inside and outside Parliament for this whole week, and it's continuing as we record. We saw some crazy scenes with Smriti Irani shouting at the camera, I guess.
Yeah, she was performing for camera in Parliament, of course. In Parliament, you only are supposed to speak to the speaker.
Yeah, this is because there's a bit of a controversy for which Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is, he's apologized, but he basically called our new president Rashtrapatni. And in fact, I was seeing those little Delhi confidential things that come on Indian Express were saying that in the first assembly, there was actually a lot of debate around it. And then Pandit Nehru said, no, we'll keep it Rashtrapati. They were wondering ki kya hona chahiye.
And also, even as this pandemonium unfolds, we have hit the record of the most suspensions from Parliament. 27 opposition MPs have been
from
suspended.
both the houses, and you've had MPs doing dharna. Sonia Gandhi was questioned for about 2 hours by the ED, so you had Congress doing big dharnas asking the centre not to misuse the ED. And all Aam Aadmi Party MPs were also suspended on Wednesday.
Not all. I think one is still there, but first Sanjay and then 2 more who were suspended today.
Yeah, for unruly behaviour. 4 cases of monkeypox were reported in India so far, 3 in Kerala and 1 in the capital city of Delhi. The Indian Council of Medical Research on Wednesday invited bids to develop vaccines and kits to diagnose the disease. Bernard N. Marak, Vice President of the BJP's Meghalaya unit, was arrested in Uttar Pradesh. He's accused of turning his farmhouse on the outskirts of Tura town into a brothel.
This didn't make either major headlines or prime time.
A day after the Congress alleged that Union Minister Smriti Irani's daughter ran an illegal, quote-unquote, restaurant bar in Goa, the minister on Sunday served a legal notice on the Congress and its leader, Pawan Khera, Jairam Ramesh and Netta D'Souza, demanding an apology for such an allegation.
You can read a detailed report on this that will separate the wheat from the chaff. वही कहता है ना, जो भी मुहावरा होता है.
हाँ.
And we have
दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी.
Yeah, दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी. Milk of milk and water of water will be done. You can read it. The link is below. It is done by Prateek Goyal, our reporter, and it will give you exactly what is the allegation, what is Smriti Irani's defense, and what are the facts that are in front
with
of you.
With some new details.
And you can make up your own mind.
A Kolkata court on Monday sent West Bengal Minister Partha Chatterjee and his aide Arpita Mukherjee to ED custody till August 3rd. This is in connection with an alleged recruitment of teachers scam in the state. So far, 40 crore in cash and 5 kilograms worth of gold have been seized, and the crazy visuals that are playing on television.
It's touched 50 crores. Actually, it was 40 crores till about 2 hours ago, just before we started recording.
By the hour, it's increasing.
They're getting more and more cash.
Imagine.
But the good thing is that demonetization finished black money and cash and corruption. That's the good thing.
अब वो 2000 नोट में तो easy हो गया.
Exactly.
This is not cash?
It's cash. No, I'm being sarcastic.
He's joking, which is often hard to tell. Protests erupted in Karnataka's Dakshin Kannada district on Wednesday following the murder of Bharatiya Janata Party's youth wing district secretary, Praveen Netaru. 2 people have been arrested so far. The police has alleged that they have links to the PFI. There's been mass resignation within the BJP cadre on this, and the chief minister is under a lot of pressure to act.
Yeah, and in fact, many other MPs, including Rajiv Chandrasekhar, have spoken up on this issue. This is being taken up politically, nationally by the BJP.
There was a deadly Kawar Yatra pilgrim clash where one of the groups beat a 25-year-old soldier to death who was also part of a group of Kawadiyas from Uttar Pradesh. 6 persons have been arrested so far. This was overtaking on the road. It's like one of those...
Road rage.
Road rage incidents.
Road rage, but Kawadiya style.
Kawadiya style. Uttar Pradesh has reported the highest number of custodial deaths among all states and union territories, the second state is West Bengal. At least 28 people have died after allegedly drinking spurious liquor in Gujarat, where the manufacture, sale, consumption of alcohol are banned.
And in fact, this is what the AAP MLAs were taking up in Parliament, for which because they said we want a discussion on this. And this is also political because the BJP is attacking AAP on their excise policy in Delhi on booze. So they said in your state it's banned and yet people are dying. And of course, the only one channel is carrying a detailed report on these deaths. Everyone else has ignored it.
Yeah, absolutely. The Chhattisgarh Assembly on Tuesday unanimously passed a resolution urging the centre to cancel the allocation of all coal mining blocks in Hasdeo Forest. Neeraj Chopra scripted history with silver in javelin, becoming second Indian to clinch World Athletics Championships medal. Unfortunately, he will not be able to play for the Commonwealth Games that begin today. The International Monetary Fund on Tuesday slashed India's economic growth forecast for 2022-23 to 7.4% from its April estimate of 8.2%.
Right.
Now 5G gives them an entry space into the enterprise consumers or the enterprise segment, because 5G speeds are going to be almost 8 to 10 times higher than 4G. So if you're getting, let's say we are getting 300, 400, 500 Mbps on 4G, with 5G, it is possible to go up to 5 GB per second. So it makes a good case for enterprises to use 5G for running smart factories, for government to run smart cities. You can get accessible healthcare to remote areas. Imagine a doctor sitting in Delhi doing an ultrasound or a CT scan on a patient sitting in maybe some remote area in UP or Bihar.
So the implications aren't only for the telephone network, it is general connectivity. right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So that, and as per IDC or as per even global trends, 40% of business use case for 5G comes from the enterprise segment, and that's where also the revenue also lies, and that's why I'm sure you're aware. Telcos have been fighting with government to not allot spectrum directly to tech companies.
Last time the government had, earned 37% of the projected
Right.
money.
Right.
And this time, in 2-3 days, they have earned 36% of it. So they are going to surpass the the I think the unique thing that if you can put some light on this, Nishant, this is about these the benchmark, that price, whatever the government had given, they have not bid higher. So it's a sale. It's not an auction. So people are not bidding.
Oh, is that right?
If it is 10 rupee,
Yeah.
so they are not bidding it for 11 rupee.
The reserve pricing for the 5G bands, that is the C band 3.3 to 3.6 gigahertz, it was 317 crore per unit, which is roughly translated to $41 or $42 million per unit. And it is the most expensive in the world. So our expectation was that, and still remains, that bidding will not be very, the reserve price will not be overshot too much, unlike the previous auctions.
Now, this GautamAdani coming into this space is causing much chatter from at least the pink papers may not write about it, but at least I'm talking to journalists, I'm talking to people in the financial sector and in business journalism, that usually, big sharks hunt in their own little lakes. They don't invade each other's lakes.
Yeah.
And that is what Adani and Ambani were doing. They weren't stepping on each other's toes. This directly comes into Ambani's space, and in fact, telecom was one of the bones of contention between the brothers' split also. Jio, should have actually gone to Anil, which it did actually, but the thing was that this guy would stay out of telecom. Adani coming in, how does that mess up the space? And considering there are only 4 people bidding this time, as opposed to a telecom market in India, a decade or so ago, where there were like 8 competitors. I mean, one would assume that lesser competition could lead to cartelization, higher prices. Yet, in spite of there being only 4 players in the market, our data rates are amongst the lowest in the world. Is that the case the world over, that there are just a few players in the telecom market, or is India unique? And explain to me how the number of players having gone down has not led to a increase of rates for the consumer.
But yes, we are India's data is among the is the lowest in the world. Had it not been for Jio's launch in 2016, we firmly believe we would still be paying maybe 100 rupees for 1 GB data or something like that. It's only because of Jio and purely Jio that we are being spoiled with 75 GB at 400 rupees data packs or something like that. So it's mainly and purely because of Jio. And with 5G also, we don't expect the prices to go up. We expect the ARPU average price to go up to be maybe at max 10-20% initially. Of course, industry is struggling, and I think all the players, specifically Airtel and Vodafone, have mentioned that ARPU needs to go up and touch about, I think, 200 or 250 rupees, in the longer run for them to become viable. And like I mentioned in the beginning, they have not been able to make money with 3G, 4G on the consumer space because of the low ARPUs post Jio entry. So ARPUs for 5G will be higher by 10-20% roughly, as per our estimates. But the pure play of the 5G is in the enterprise segment, because as a consumer, I would assume people are happy with 4G.
So everyone has been discussing the Parliament ruckus, but of course there's no sympathy with the opposition, because misuse of ED is also one of the things that the opposition has been talking about and protesting around, especially after the Sonia Gandhi's questioning for 2 hours. Will it become worse? I think it'll just, from the cases, the number we know that the maximum number of searches have happened in this year, the previous financial year. So it is increasing. Even if you compare NDA 1 with NDA 2, there's been a remarkable increase in the number of raids. that the ED has done. And often the conviction rate is just next to nothing. So it is pretty clear that it's... How nakedly is it going to be used going ahead? I'm guessing that we're already at that point where agencies...
Going by how they are suspending MPs, I don't think they give a shit. Because the thing is, that's why media plays such an important role. No? If the media doesn't, like, for example, they are... Every channel you turn to, they have that 50 crore cash mountains. That leaves a very firm imprint in your mind that what the ED is doing is correct. Because see, they're recovering so much cash. But that's just one case. What no one will ask is, the promise was that this demonetization will kill bloody black money and corruption because no one will have any cash to give. Only a complete moron would have thought that's possible. But since that is what has been fed to us, that is a question also that should be asked in this discussion. Na? What happened? Like, every 2 months you're saying we're finding so much cash. But I thought the cash you will not be able to find because corruption gets killed by demonetization. No one will question.
And virtually every leader from opposition parties has some case or the other. And again, before every election, before Maharashtra election, you had the Sharad Pawar thing happening. Then Abhishek Banerjee before West Bengal.
Before every election.
And it's all forgotten as soon as the election cycle is over. So that's also a question to ask, that how is it that right before 1 month, 2 months before the elections, you have ED cases and all the opposition guys?
If you just look at the history of our criminal investigation, we have 2 major agencies. One is CBI, another is Enforcement Director, ED. So if you just see the history, ED had always been a sleeping partner of CBI. The governments before BJP, including, before Modi government, even Vajpayee's government, they all used CBI. Okay, if there was any misuse, it was the misuse of CBI. Raiding politicians, creating... And then ED used to come into the picture when the CBI used to file a charge sheet that we recovered this much money. So then they will start... ED will start looking into whether this money has been laundered or not. So that was the ED's role. But I always used to... I was very surprised why this government is not using CBI and why ED. Now, after this Supreme Court has laid out... See, when Supreme Court says that money laundering is a very serious, charge, very, very serious crime, is taken, is given. Everybody knows that.
In fact, they've compared to terrorism.
It is terrorism. Even I admit it is terrorism. But all the cases that ED has filed so far, does it reflect that it is terrorism?
Unki conviction rate is terrible.
And if you look at the political, all cases, why, of course, the politicians, maybe, they are corrupt or whatever. Like in case of this the West Bengal minister, fine. But look at all the cases that they have made so far, and also look at the cases which have happened in the past, their success rate and all. So there you very clearly see some kind of political vendetta.
Kind of specific to ED and what the Supreme Court has said. If you remember earlier, there was that IT Act that was brought in, basically a surveillance law. And the argument at that time also was, if you have nothing to hide, why are you afraid of it? Right? This is the logic. So this has been the logic of the Indian state for a while now, that this suspicion of people, the suspicion of citizens, that unless you have something to hide, you won't oppose any law, you won't oppose any surveillance, and that you are a suspect unless you prove otherwise. And that is a problem when it comes to dealing with citizens, when it comes to the dealings between the state and the citizens. When you have that kind of an arrangement, what that does is that in for example, in the ED's case, when the burden of proof is on the victim, on the suspect, one, obviously it's the process is the punishment, but the other sort of the motive behind it is to cause reputational damage. For example, when they're questioning Sonia Gandhi for like hours and hours, or Rahul Gandhi for hours and hours, it's not like they're really expecting to throw them in jail. The point is to cause so much reputational damage that if you are not a Sonia Gandhi, you're not a Rahul Gandhi, if you are, say, an ordinary person, you are essentially dead as a citizen, because nobody will give you a job. Even maybe talk to you if you are in politics, if you are in public life, you are suspect forever.
Absolutely. This whole, that is, I completely agree with you.
All of you listening in, the Chhota Hafta, do subscribe so you can listen to the entire Hafta.
We will see you again next week with the Hafta. Till then, subscribe, pay to keep news free, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Thank you. Goodbye.
All the News Laundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to News Laundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs, and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. सुन लिया अफ्रीका मुफत खोरों? Not to brag or anything, but News Laundry Hafta features in the top 50 in the world on SoundCloud in the news and politics category for podcasts. So do subscribe and see what you're missing, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Subscribe, help keep news independent and free. All News Laundry podcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher and any other podcast platform.